Hello friends, welcome to the NOS studio. I am Dr. Naresh Kumar. Today we are going to discuss with you one of the very important concept in your course is major religious communities in India. For your kind information, religion and religious communities need not to be uh, uh, understood similarly. Religion itself is a philosophy, whereas when we talk about religious communities, this is a way of life. So, what we are going to discuss here is only the religious communities, not in detail the religious philosophy of every religion. Uh, Religions, as we understand, there are many religious communities in India, as in specifically if we talk about our Indian subcontinent itself, and most of the religious communities and religions are classified into two categories. These categories could be called as endogenous and exogenous kinds of religious communities. Endogenous as a term itself classifies those communities which are those religious communities which are having its roots in the Indian subcontinent itself. Their founders their founders are from the Indian subcontinent itself, whereas the exogenous kind of religious communities are those communities where the founders and the religion evolved outside the Indian subcontinent. The examples for indigenous religious communities would be, the best example is the Hinduism, which is a very ancient kind of religion and has its roots in India itself. Another would be Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. Uh, there could be other more classifications, other more categories, but we would be restricting our discussion to only these endogenous religious communities in India. Whereas when we talk about exogenous religious communities, these could be classified broadly into four religious communities which are popularly known in India also. These are Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Uh, Need not to tell you that all these religious communities which we are going to discuss have a major interaction among each other, and over a period of time, each and every religion and religious community's way of life has been evolved and changed, over a period of time. Let's first talk about Hinduism. Hinduism, as we all aware of, one of the most ancient religion of the world itself. It's a religion which traces its roots from the pre-Aryan existence, going back to the 3000 to the 2000 BC itself, and the historical fact shows the worship of Shiva and Mother Goddess used to exist even before the pre-Aryan kind of era that goes back to 3000 BCs. Hinduism itself is a religion of greater diversity and thought and practice than any other religion in the world. The speciality of Hinduism is that there is no single founder, no single book, and it is polytheistic in nature. Uh, as a religion itself is quite old in nature, so their contradictory beliefs and ideas have evolved along with Hinduism, which Hinduism itself has co-opted over a period of time. In short, if you try to understand Hinduism as a philosophy, the major ideas of this philosophy are derived from Vedas, Upanishads, Dharmashastras, Purana, so on and so forth. There are many other texts as well which inspire, which tell us about the basic philosophy of Hinduism. In short, for a student of sociology, Hinduism could be understood as a way of life. It's simply a way of life. Whatever comes to a way of life has co-opted as a part of the broader idea of Hinduism. And if you see, the social life within Hinduism has been classified into caste and Chatura Varna system, which we all are aware of, and each of us are the part of that caste and Chatur Varna system, which is quite historical in nature. The central concept which every student of sociology has to understand, which always guided the Hindu philosophy, are dharma, karma, and moksha. Hinduism has undergone subtle transformation over a period of time. The Hinduism of pre-Aryan era, medieval era, is quite different what Hinduism we have today, and even today it's going a very subtle transformation over the years, right? we would discuss the next one of the most ancient religion, uh, which traces its roots from the pre-Islamic Iran, is the Zoroastrianism. Historically, if you go to history, we find its historical traces around 1000 BC among the eastern Iranian tribals. It has evolved from there and become one of the most fascinating religion, a very peace-loving kind of religion uh, after Hinduism. Uh, uh, in a sequence, when we trace chronologically, though all religion are, the basic idea is very peace-loving and for the humanities. So Zoroastrianism is based on the teaching of Zarathustra, also called as Spitma, is a person, uh, and this is basically teachings of Zoroastrianism are contained mainly in the text called Gathas. As in Hinduism, we have many texts, but Zoroastrianism derives its philosophy, whatever from this particular book, Gathas. Uh, it is a religion which gives immense importance to earth and fire, and it occupies a greater importance in the Zoroastrians, way of life. And it is precisely because of this importance, uh, Zoroastrians doesn't burn their bodies, and usually these are kept in a tower of silence, where the corpus is kept, kept and open to the atmosphere, heat and rain, and words and comes and eat away the body. It's just a respect. They do not burn the body, and the followers of Zoroastrians are called Parsis, and this is one of the most leading religious business community in India itself. Uh, Next in sequence is Buddhism, again a very historical ancient kind of religion, and Buddhism derives its philosophy from the preaching of Gautam Buddha, and Gautam Buddha itself was against the worship of gods and deities, uh, if you see, and uh, uh, it could also be called as an offshoot of Hinduism, right? And mainly most of the Hindus also follow Buddhism also. And Gautam Buddha, as you see, that he emphasized on the spiritual development of the human being rather than following any kind of person. And Buddhism has also undergone a severe transformation over the period of time. They are basically two broader classifications within Buddhism, Hinayana and Mahayana, and which a student of any Buddhist study has to engage with. You see that the Buddhism itself has it has its historical traces, history. It has been patronized over the period of time in the ancient era also by the emperor and kings of India, most popularly known as Ashoka and Harshvardhana. Under their patronage, the Buddhism has flourished not only in India, but has also been preached to the other countries and regions outside India as well. You find the Buddhism got much more patronage outside India than in India, outside India than in India, because the Buddhism was in direct conflict with also the basic premises of basic lifestyle of Hinduism also. It criticized casteism and other evils which are the part which were supposed to be the part of Hinduism, and that's why it got a lot of patronage outside India as well. Certainly, it faced severe opposition from Hinduism within the Indian subcontinent. Likewise, Buddhism, there is one more religion which we all are aware of, that is called Jainism, and is one of the most the non-violent peace-loving kind of religion. Basically, believes in vegetarianism, and founded by Vardhamana Mahavira, like Buddhism was founded by Gautam Buddha, and the founder of Jainism is Vardhamana Mahavira. Around 540 to 4668 BC, you find the evolution of this, the beginning of this religion. Jainism, the speciality is that they have produced immense kind of literature since uh, it's an ancient, that would also one of the reason for this. The basic philosophy of Jainism is that that individual whatever individuals do, and that lead to his salvation. Therefore, each and every individual has to follow the three jewels, three ratna, to attain the liberation, which are classified as right faith, right knowledge, and conduct. Basically, the Jainism, like Buddhism, is also divided into uh, 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 two sections, like Digambara, who lived naked, and Shvetambara, monks who wears white robes, right? So uh, this is the broader classification within Jainism. And Jainism, like Buddhism and other Hindu religion, also has most of the caste groups within it, and most of them are traders. They are also one of the uh, leading business communities in India. It has undergone also major religious reforms, like Hinduism and other religions we talked about. Uh, the one more religion which is exogenous in nature, as we talked to about two classification, that is Christianity, and this religion has a huge population as its follower, and not only in India but all Europe and other subcontinents, other continents of the world. And basically, Christianity is what a religion which evolved with the Jesus, right? Jesus Christ, and it takes its start from there only. Christianity came out of Judaism, which we are going to discuss, and it is a monolithic kind of faith. It continues to be highly heterogeneous in the beginning, but still with some common principles, which binds the different classifications within Christianity, like Protestant, and they are Catholics. So there are many, other classifications also within the Christianity, but they basically follow the basic ideas that remain almost similar across these dissections, not dissection, but uh, uh, different parts of this Christianity are faith, hope, and love. Its roots are older in India than Rome itself. So you can well imagine, so the relation of Indian subcontinent with the exogenous kind of religion, which is Christianity, is too old than Rome itself. And basically, the Christianity came to India through three means. First, the political control through the travelers, who used to visit India, and they used to preach Christianity, and that was also, one of the reason for the evolution of Christianity, the growth of Christianity in India. But mainly it is called as political control. When the European came and the missionary practices activities started in India, they also preached Christianity, and now you find that there is a huge population, but not like Hinduism and other religious communities. The population is less, but still exist all across Indian states. Judaism, as we discussed, Judaism led to Christianity. Christianity has come out of Judaism, and followers of Judaism are known as Jews. One of the most popular community in the world, people inhabiting mainly in Israel itself. So the small population in number in India, very small population, but the major religious ideas which govern is that this is a monotheistic religion and believes in transcendental God. That is what define this religion, Judaism. The one more religion which deserve our very serious attention and very popular in India is that Islam, because the Muslims are huge in India than anywhere in the Muslim states across the world, as you know. So Islam itself means to surrender to God's law and thus to be an integral whole of that, right? And followers believe that God has revealed His message regarding how humankind should live, and Islam identifies prophets. The first prophet was Adam, and the last was Muhammad. And it is said that some prophet received the holy message from the God in the form of scriptures, and the last such scriptures which was written is called Holy Quran, the revealed book of Muslims, where every message is written. The basic doctrine of Islam has remained same, and it is a religion which has not gone much transformation, as comparison to the other religion in the world. And India, you see that Muslim has a huge population, and again under the influence of Hinduism and other religion, they are also having many caste groups within their religious fold. The very latest and the new among all these religious classifications is Sikhism. Sikh itself means a disciple, discipline, and Sikhs are those who are disciples of 10 gurus, starting from Guru Nanak, 1469 to 1539, and to Guru Gobind Singh, the last and the 10th guru of Sikhs. And the holy book which guides each and every Sikh is that Guru Granth Sahib, a scripture written by 5th Guru Arjan Dev in 1604. That is what and most of this Sikh population resides in Punjab, as you all know. And Sikhism is the outcome which deserve our attention. Is the it's an outcome of Bhakti movement, which has inspired even Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and lot of religion itself. So Bhakti movement itself deserves a special attention. It's a history, long history of several centuries, which has tremendously influenced the whole religious system, social life of the Indian subcontinent, the people in India. So friends, this was what we had discussed, that there are many religious communities, and each and religious community has its own origin. They are endogenous and exogenous, but the specialty about these religious communities, they have influenced tremendously each other. And more importantly, if you see the endogenous religions within India, which evolved from India, has influenced each other tremendously, and the exogenous religion, which is Christianity and Islam, has also undergone severe transformation under the influence of our endogenous religions which have evolved from India. And that is what makes our the society a very beautiful society, where we are learning and participating in each other's festivals, and that makes our life a very composite cultural life of India. So friends, as we have discussed different religious communities in India, what we came to know is that the all religious communities has tremendous influence upon each other. The Hinduism, the Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, we talk about, each and every religion has inspired each other and influenced each other's way of life also. You see that the caste system in itself has infiltrated in each and every religion, whether it is endogenous or exogenous. Christianity, which is exogenous, and Islam, which is an exogenous religion, has also got severe transformation through the influence of our indigenous culture, and that what makes our society a very composite kind of society. The modernization which has came to in tradition has evolved this society as a very vibrant society called Indian society, and we are inspired by each other's culture, lifestyle, and that what again makes us a very vibrant Indian society. Thank you.